I'm just going to start by saying there's a lot of adulthood.
It's been really fun to play. It's just great to see these characters grow up.
Let's just start off with the big thing. Me and Tao have sex. We finally tied
I
the
don't have
knot.
to respond to that. Yeah.
We've got each other to lean on, which I think is really special.
I've never really gotten emotional before, but
To suddenly be thrust into this and be spokespeople for communities, that must be tough.
I put my heart and soul into Elle every single season, and I think that has inspired a lot of people.
Hi babes, welcome to the Heartstopper official podcast. I'm your host, Tia Coffey, otherwise known as the Glamorous Geek, and I'm a massive Heartstopper fan. I'm thrilled to be right here at Netflix HQ, ready to talk to the Heartstopper cast about all the behind-the-scenes tea and gossip on Heartstopper Season 3. This week, I'm joined by the gorgeous Yasmin Finney and the iconic Will Gow. We are here to talk about what role I can have in Heartstopper. Just kidding. We are here to talk about Season 3.
Last time I saw you was when we did the Joe Lycett. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That was...
I saw you in a cupboard on set. At the school, I opened the door and you were just there. And then I was like, hi. And then I closed the door.
I was wandering around your set.
Yeah. It was a bit, I was
for Netflix, I didn't just show up.
Yeah.
Now, for everyone watching at home, this is the past. The moment we are in is the past. You're in my future, which to you is the present. I've complicated it. So I haven't actually seen Season 3 yet. So can you both give me an overview of what your characters are doing, what they're up to, how their lives are?
Okay, so I'm just going to start by saying there's a lot of adulthood that starts to blossom this season.
Interesting.
So let's just start off with the big thing. Me and Tao have sex. We finally
Congratulations.
tied
I
the
don't have
knot.
to respond to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just a natural thing. And what I quite like about it is the way it's done. It's obviously catering to all audiences, so it's PG friendly to watch. But not only that, it's just quite nice to have a trans girl on screen having just, I don't know, you see the complications of being trans, and you see it's not just easy to kind of have those relationships and go deep into a sexual relationship with your partner straight away, especially when you've got gender dysphoria and all these complicated things that comes with being trans. So I think we really delve into that and we educate a lot of the audience, hopefully. It's getting very real now.
I love that. It's it's getting a bit naughty, but we've still got a message. We're still educating people.
Yes.
And we love to see that.
Amen.
How does Tal sort of deal with that?
I think it's all part of it. It's growing up. It's having those conversations and learning to listen and be supportive. And I think for Tao, obviously, he has this challenge because he's never been in this situation before where someone he loves so much is struggling with something that he can't relate to in himself. So I think growing with sympathy and empathy is such a formative thing when you're growing up. And I think we really see Tao support Elle on the journey, and they communicate and they really grow.
You okay? You seem tired.
Honestly, this week's been a lot.
In a good way? I mean, the pictures from your Instagram look great.
I think out of all the seasons, this is the season where they mature. From episode 1 to episode 8, you see a big level up in their maturity, which is it's been really fun to play because it's just great to see these characters grow up.
How you spoke about sort of watching them grow up, but how old were you both when you started filming Heartstopper?
You were 17.
I think I was 17.
And I was 18 when I got the role. Yeah.
Yeah.
18.
So
yeah.
now I'm 20 and it's 3 years of being with Will. And I think that was also another thing. Sorry that I said that.
So
but it's a travesty.
In a nice way.
In an amazing way. In a way that, like any situation, you're with your partner for 3 years in that sense, your work colleague, and you learn the ins and outs of each other's acting. You kind of you know what's going to happen. You kind of read each other's minds in the scene. And I think as we've gotten onto more and more seasons, we just kind of like me and Will, I think there is this sort of like understanding of, so to say, actually we know exactly the way that Tao and Elle would sort of handle that scene and handle the movements and handle like the eyes. And I just think it's a maturity. And I think for most of us, for me anyway, I didn't film anything before Heartstopper. This is my first ever job. So I came onto Heartstopper kind of just seeking for like sort of like a lesson on acting in a way. It was like it was a way for me to learn. It was a way for me to sort of examine people and how they act. And it's an amazing experience. And I think the best training personally for me has been actually being on a set and being able to work with the likes of Will and all the other guys. I think
I'm
it's
obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Like literally, most people would be like, oh, I really want to learn how to act. Might go to the Brit school. You're like, I want to learn how to act. I'm going to get on Heartstopper and end up with millions of followers on Instagram. Casual. Just like,
well, I don't think we went into the show knowing we would have millions of followers, and I don't think that was our intent to like go on the show and be like, oh, we're going to be famous from this. I think,
but it is nice, isn't it?
It
does. It's nice.
It's nice, and I think for me, like, all of that stuff doesn't really matter as long as Elle is out there and as long as Elle is on the screen, sort of representing for such a community that is going through a lot right now, like in the world. I think it's important that we touch on these hard hitting topics. And I actually got really emotional a few times on set. I've never really gotten emotional before, but like on set, obviously, I got really, really emotional like a few times. I just like had to have a moment to myself because as I am more into this industry, I'm starting to just like be a bit more of a method actor. And sadly for me, it's really easy to relate to being sort of like, to be sort of alienated. It's just a lot. It's very overwhelming to think about, but it's hard to get out of that place. So a few times on set, I just need a little bit of like a break. I'll just put some music on and I'll just sort of like just breathe. It's just really difficult, but I think hopefully you'll see that in my acting and the performance of Elle.
Yeah.
One thing that I do think, although it's overwhelming, first of all, we have each other.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've all been, we've got each other to like lean on, which I think is really special and something that I've really cherished is if one of us are going through something, like we're very supportive with each other. I think that helps it. One
of the important things at the moment is like the conversation around allyship and sort of like supporting the trans community, which I don't know if that's something that comes into Tao's character for this season. Is there sort of like a lot of support that you have to give to Elle?
Yeah, I think
with
so.
The struggles.
And like learning himself and like educating himself and asking Elle for guidance and really listening. I think it's just for Tao, it's all about making sure she's happy and trying to understand, like trying to really understand and get to grips with it. And his determination is like the most beautiful thing in that kind of from the script is he's so eager to learn and make sure that Elle's really comfortable and happy and stuff.
Something that everyone should be. I think, I know I made a joke about sort of like the Instagram followers thing and stuff, but it must be difficult at your ages. Obviously, I'm 19, I'm a year younger than you. But at your ages, to suddenly be thrust into this and be like spokespeople for communities, like that must be tough.
Oh, yeah.
What my mindset is the speaking part of being a spokesperson is inherent in the work.
Yeah.
I think if we're making a show that's celebrating what we're celebrating and preaching what we're preaching, I think that is enough said. I think that's inherent, but I understand that's just for me. Like, and that's why I'm interested. Yeah, is like, how do you feel? Because you're such a spokesperson for your community, not only the work you do, but also outside of your job and in your day to day. It's like it's inherent in all of that. Like, what's that like?
But I feel like now there is this sort of overwhelming pressure with everything that's going on in the media over trans people and the government and their terrible, terrible comments. And I just think like it kind of strips away my childhood and puts me in this world of advocacy for my community, which I am so happy to do. It's just very difficult to have the weight of a whole community, which I'm which I love, and I'm so blessed to have that. You know, I put my heart and soul into Elle every single season, and I think that has inspired a lot of people.
And at such a young age, like I find it difficult to understand. Like I couldn't even make a pot noodle at your age. That's a lot, and thank you both for sort of like sharing that. If you could play any other character in Heartstopper, who would you play?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You did that exactly the same.
We're just like sonically like
the 3 years of psychic ability. That's what it is.
I would say Nelly, the dog, because how easy is it to just be that gorgeous and to just get stroked all the time?
Yeah.
And
Just have a fun time.
Yeah, I'd say Nelly.
That's quite fair.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'd be. I'd probably play. I think maybe Mr. Farouk would be quite fun to play. Yeah.
Very like stern.
Yeah. But deadpan acting. I think deadpan acting is one of the most hilarious forms.
You better get out first. And the kids won't shut up about it if they find out we're dating.
Oh. So we're dating?
We've been seeing each other all summer, so I hope we are.
Do you know, I've got a question, which I've gone off script, but I have a genuine question.
Here we go.
So season 2, we all went to Paris, France, or in French, Paris, France.
Oui.
And neither of the teachers who came with you taught French.
No.
Why? Why?
Because it was like a history trip.
Is Mr. Farouk a history teacher?
Well, we kind of got to go off in our pairs, didn't we? Because that's where we went to the Musée des Montmartre, the Louvre.
You did have an art teacher, so that does make sense.
Art teacher, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then there is a line that Mr. Farouk says is like, to all of those of you who don't even study French. Like, he said it in a sassy way because he was a bit annoyed. So I think some of the students don't even study French. I don't think Tao studies French.
No, and I love that you even know Mr. Farouk's lines. You're actually ready.
No,
Channeling.
ready. Actually, no, here's a question.
it.
Who would you play if you had the opportunity?
I feel like a Tory sort of energy would be quite good.
If you were Tory,
True.
what would your choice of drink be at a party?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe just like a little, like vodka, lime and soda. Is that a really like
Very
basic
nice.
Okay.
answer?
Classy.
Yeah,
Very
refreshing.
cool,
What would you go for?
As Elle,
Yeah.
as Yasmin, I have a double vodka Red Bull, but I think that's a bit too aggressive for Elle. I feel like
That is
she
a
would
little,
just have...
yeah.
It's quite intense.
She'd have like a pineapple, 1 shot of tequila kind of girl.
Oh,
Tequila pineapple.
that's nice. I was going to go like even maybe an Alco-Pop energy.
Oh, what?
Like an Alco-Pop.
What's that?
Like a Bacardi Breezer. Like a little, you know, the box.
Never had one of those in my life.
Are you...
Oh, it's like an icicle, like...
No, it's not like a little, like it's in a bottle.
Oh.
You know, like, honestly, like, you're too classy for me. Me, like, getting a WKD at the Two Brewers in Clapham, do you know what I mean? One's in the bottle. Very that. What would you go for? What's your bevy of choice?
As Tao as me,
Straight rum.
I think Tao would go for, because he's getting into movies. He's really interested in filmmaking in season 3. He discovers a
Artsy.
passion. So he's wearing a lot more scarves. His hair changes once again.
Oh.
And I'd say he drinks red wine.
I do actually see red wine and scarves
and
work
he
together.
holds it like that. As so.
Yeah,
Like
very
this,
Tao.
okay. But like with like one of those little candy sticks that look like cigarettes
Yeah.
on the side
Yeah.
as well.
And he'd pretend
Yeah.
like a breadstick.
I see that. Where do you think the two of them will be in 10 years' time? It's a big question.
I'd say they're vibing it out in a cosmopolitan city in Europe. And he's making movies. She's got an art gallery.
In 10 years.
And yeah, they're vibing it.
You've really made it big in that 10-year period. I love
Yeah,
that.
they're like, I think they'd be a very successful couple.
I do see that. They've got like power couple
Power
energy.
couple vibes. And career, like, determination vibes.
We've got some questions from some super fans.
Hi, super fans.
Super fans. What are
Hi,
they called?
super fans. They are called, do you know what? I don't know the names because they're not listed here, but I can make up names.
Okay.
If you'd like. Question number 1 from Shane. If you could take any prop from the set home, what would it be and why?
I would take, from this season,
Mm-hmm.
I'd take the painting of Elle.
What would you steal from the set?
So, as this is in the future, I've already stolen a black t-shirt.
Is it a particularly good t-shirt?
So good. It just fits really well. I seldom have a t-shirt that fits like my body type, but for some reason they just came in with this t-shirt and I was like, wow.
What's your ideal fit? Baggy or tight?
It's like quite a slim fit, which I never normally do. I used to always be baggy t-shirts, but it's just really, it's like really nicely
hugs
cut.
you.
Yeah, really nicely cut. It makes me look like I do go jogging.
Question number 2, which is from Tim. What's one song that always reminds you of your time on Heartstopper?
Okay, for me, it's a very specific one. On the first day ever of season 1, we had an Adele song stuck in our head. Chasing Pavements.
Oh.
That's the song I affiliate with Heartstopper now. Because on the first day, we were all so nervous, but me and Toby, I just remember us all the way down to set, we were just singing that song on repeat. And it was stuck in our heads the whole day. Good vibes.
Yeah, that makes me really happy. Thank you so much for joining me here in my living room. This is where I live. Have you had a gorgeous time?
It's been really
it's been
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
So, wonderful people, we have come to the end of this week's episode, but we have got one thing left, and that is the BFF Challenge with Kit and Joe, round 3. Each week, I'm asking Kit and Joe to take part in a series of challenges. Last time, I'm going to ask you each to come up with a buzzer sound.
Why are we like this?
Kit is currently in the lead, so that means you've won 2 out of our 2 games so far.
Well done.
But that could all change on this week's episode of the BFF Challenge with Kit and Joe. Our next challenge is finish the line. You should try rugby.
Why are we like this?
Go for it.
It's good for releasing negative emotions.
That is correct. It was your line. You kind of are...
Why are we like this? A gay ad.
Yes, correct. Does this mean we are...
Why are we like this? Oh, okay.
Boyfriends?
Correct. You're just going to assume that...
Why are we like this?
Go for it.
It was a girl. It's a she.
They're a she. Yes, correct.
she.
Masculine guys.
Can be gay too.
Correct. Season 1.
That's why I don't remember it. 3 years ago.
Honestly, how time flies.
I know.
It's hard to be confident when all they see me...
Why are we like this?
Go for it.
It's a stereotypical gay... stereotypical gay boy who's bad at sports, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
How do you know this?
That was your line.
I know it was my line.
That was very impressive.
Is that season 2 or season 1?
1.
Crazy.
Your
isn't it?
memory is better than mine with that
I
kind of
know.
stuff
We're
normally
like,
as well.
yeah.
Wait, are you usually good at remembering?
He'll be like, oh yeah, we had
People's
like...
card numbers.
We had like McDonald's, you had like a Big Mac on like the 27th of October, 2021 or something.
So I don't like a Big Mac. Fun fact about
Neither
me.
do I.
No, it's the sauce.
I quite like a
Very
Big Mac
strange.
personally, but
You are now like 3-0
That's fine.
on the running games, and we only have one more game to play in the next exciting episode of the Heartstopper official podcast. Gorgeous people, that is it for this episode of the Heartstopper official podcast. But if you're watching on YouTube, please do make sure you like, comment and subscribe. And if you're listening to us on a podcast app, just give us a follow and maybe a cheeky 5 stars. Bye for now.